Heating and air, odors are embarrassing in our home or office. Malik Heating and Air can eliminate those odors, guaranteed, or your money back. Safe for pets and family. Call Malik. Feel the difference.
Skies will be mostly sunny today, breezy at times, highs near 60. Clear tonight, lows falling into the upper 30s. Intervals of sun and clouds on Thursday, high again near 60. Becoming mostly cloudy Thursday night, we only drop to the middle 50s in the evening. Then temperatures start rising overnight. And partly to mostly cloudy and warmer on Friday. Highs will get up into the middle 70s. I'm meteorologist Scott Kaplan, 1620 94.5 WTAW.
And I'm Zach Taylor on WTAW. Coming up in sports, we're talking high school hoops. Plenty of games to go around last night. Also college football. Texas A&M men's and women's basketball in action this evening, and FIFA World Cup in sports.
There you go. It's 7:40. Michael McCaul will become our congressman when the new Congress convenes, and he joins us this morning. Congressman, thanks for spending a few minutes with us today.
Hey, Scott, thanks for having me.
Let's talk. You were on ABC over the weekend because you are the incoming chair for the House Foreign Affairs Committee. One of the questions I know that was discussed with you was the Ukraine. As chair of House Foreign Affairs, how do you see the relationship between the United States and Ukraine going forward?
Well, look, we're not going to write blank checks anymore. We're going to have oversight, and accountability. However, they're winning this fight. They got Russia on their heels. And, my criticism of this administration is they don't give them everything they need to win. And, we should have been giving them weapons before the invasion, but we wait till after, then we slow walk this stuff. Scott, when we give them what they need, and I'll talk about what more they need to finally close this deal, is when we give them what they need, they win, and they're a winning horse. What they need right now, these Iranian drones are coming in, and they're putting them in Crimea, which is out of range for the artillery that they currently have. They need this longer-range artillery called the ATACMS to take out these Iranian drones in Crimea that are responsible for hitting civilian infrastructure and killing civilian lives right now. It's very complex, but not so complex situation because you got basically after Afghanistan fell, I think Putin, Chairman Xi in China, Ayatollah, Kim Jong-un, all four of these axis of evil, they saw weakness. And it was not a question of if but when Putin was going to invade. And, when he saw what the debacle and humiliating, disgraceful surrender in Afghanistan, that's when he knew the time was right to do this invasion. And how do we know that? Because the satellite imagery proves it. In August, when Afghanistan was falling, we saw the Russian Federation troops start lining up around Ukraine. We started to warn the world that this is going to happen, including Zelensky in Ukraine. And in fact, it did. And then we were told to be over in 4 days. And here we are almost 10 months into this thing. And, the Russians are quite frankly embarrassed about what's happened. Their military is not what everybody thought it was. And the will of the Ukrainian people has really inspired the world.
Well, certainly while there might be Americans who want to support the Ukraine, I'm one person who's concerned about how long will that production take when those weapons get over there, and what does that do? Does that cause any shortfall in the weapons that we need as the American defense system?
Right. So this is what's called the defense industrial base, and we really have to ramp up our operations. What's going into Ukraine primarily it's weapons, Russian weapons that the Eastern NATO countries have had for a while that the Ukrainians know how to operate. They've been putting everything they've got into Ukraine, and then we backfill these Eastern NATO countries with newer weapons. They're more tied to the United States, and so when you see these supplementals, a lot of this money actually is going to replenish our stockpile here in the United States. But as I said on Sunday, we're not going to, this is not business as usual. We're not going to write a blank check. We're going to have oversight of all of this and accountability. When the $40 billion bill was thrown on the floor, we were only given hours' notice in a fly-in day by Pelosi And that's not the right way to do business. And, when we approach these in the future, we're going to give members ample time, and we're going to go through this line by line. We're also going to have more control over the military strategy, which I would argue if we gave them what they needed yesterday, this whole thing would have been over yesterday. But the way this administration is doing it is turning into a longer, protracted war, which is what nobody wants. And we want to bring this to a conclusion. And the way to do it is to give them these longer range, artillery, so they can finish, this effort. And the way I look at it, also, Scott, I know it's a little complicated, but largest invasion in Europe since World War II. China is looking at communist China. She's looking at Taiwan and the South Pacific. My father fought in World War II. This is the balance of power. The balance of power that was set and the maps that were drawn after World War II. Now you have Putin, Chairman Xi in China. You have Iran and North Korea now trying to redraw these maps from the Greatest Generation who liberated the Pacific and Europe.
Congressman Michael McCaul joining us this morning. Congressman, let's turn our attention to the border. Again, as incoming chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, that's on your radar screen. Tell me what you think we need to be doing down there.
Well, we got to reinstate Remain in Mexico. I worked with the Trump administration to implement Remain in Mexico, Migrant Protection Protocol. This required political asylum claimants to stay in country of interest or remain in Mexico. Why is that important? Because once they set foot in the United States, which is what they do now, we don't have enough detention space, and they get released into society with a notice to appear, and then they disappear. This is the most self-inflicted wound, one of the worst policies I've ever seen implemented by an administration, and it's a direct cause and effect between what was happening before, where we had it under control for the first time, to now a wide-open border, biggest human trafficking event in my lifetime, and now the fentanyls are pouring in from China, coming into Mexico, killing our kids. We've lost 75,000 children, young people, this year due to fentanyls. Put that in perspective, Scott. That's as many as we lost in Vietnam over 2 decades.
Wow.
It's an epidemic, and this needs to stop. So, as chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I'm going to go down to Mexico and Central America, talk to those leaders about renegotiating these agreements for political asylum, and then present it to the administration. Look, you can fix this, right? I don't anticipate that they will, but the American people need to know that there's a way to do this right, to stop what's happening down there. And this administration has done nothing, including Mayorkas, who Border Patrol turned their backs on him because, as they said, he turned his back on them.
Finally today, tell me what needs to be done before this Congress comes to a close.
Well, the remaining items, one very important to me is the National Defense Authorization Bill, which we anticipate will come up probably next week. This is a bill that funds our military. It takes the pay and care for our troops and military families, ensure we have the tools to protect the United States. And, as you're seeing around the world, what's interesting, Scott, when I chaired Homeland Security, the big threat was ISIS and the Caliphate. Now it's the rise of nations, these foreign adversary states that are emboldened and empowered after what they saw in Afghanistan. And that, weakness invites aggression, and that's what we're seeing. Reagan talked about peace through strength, and what I'm seeing now is weakness invites war. And we have to start projecting strength, not weakness, around the world, or it's going to come to our doorstep. And this man, the president, has created a very dangerous world out there.
Congressman Michael McCaul joining us this morning. You can hear the interview archived on our website at WTAW.com. Thanks for the time this morning, Congressman.
Yeah, I look forward to it every week.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We'll see you then.
Yeah,
Hi, this is Jim Daly with Focus on the Family, and I want to thank